Good morning, everyone. This will be, I think, the briefest of all reflections. I wanted to follow up on the reflection from yesterday and make two administrative notes at the end of this little reflection. I'm not sure I did an adequate job yesterday of describing polycentric governance. I touched on the main themes, I believe, but I want to refine it a little bit, just so that it's clear to you. A polycentric governance is a governance defined over multiple centers of decision making, right? So let us suppose you have 5 of them: A, B, C, D, and E. And suppose B is a provincial office, C could be a municipality or a town. My point is, these are different actors, often within different jurisdictions or existing under different sets of rules or regulations. So we should understand polycentric governance in that sense as having various centers distributed in some manner over jurisdictions, geographic locations, organizations, what have you. So I just wanted to be quite clear. I wasn't certain I was clear yesterday. Now, why is this important? This is important because when we go to transformation often, not always, but often requires multiple centers of decision-making. Transformation tends to be quite expansive in scope, so it looks out over different jurisdictions, different centers of activity, different organizations, different groups of individuals. I mean, think about it. A wonderful example of this, I believe, is community development itself. Now, in principles, they apply it to the environment, to ecosystem services. But if you look at the literature, and to be honest, to understand all of this, I had to start reading beyond this text. I didn't find it clear enough. So I've been reading outside of this text. And if you read outside of this text, what you will discover is there are 2 domains in which polycentric governance has taken root. One is the environment. And principles, this text reflects that tradition. But the other domain in which one sees polycentric governance is community development itself. And I think the reasons for that should be obvious to us. Community development often involves different centers of decision-making, citizen groups, municipalities, provincial governments, federal governments, funders, stakeholders, you name it. There are all sorts of players in the game of community development. So polycentric governance is a rich form of governance when it comes to transformation, in particular, transformation in the context of community development. And that is our context, by the way. When I speak of transformation myself, I should be taken as referring to transformation in the context of community development. So I wasn't aware of this, to be honest. I believe they make a kind of oblique reference in here to community development, but there's very little treatment of that side of polycentric governance. So we will be looking at governance in relation to community development. So that's why we're looking at polycentric governance. Polycentric governance is the governance we're almost, I believe, forced to adopt if we move towards larger scale projects or programs in community development. So in that sense, it's an important model for us. I also want to say, and I don't think it came out well in the text. That might strike you as a criticism of the text. I would have to go through the text yet again to substantiate that claim. But I'm quite confident in making it. I don't recall any extended treatment of polycentric governance modeled after a CAS. So you can look at polycentric governance and model it under the conception of a complex adaptive system. In other words, a polycentric governance can function as a complex adaptive system. And in fact, in the literature on polycentric governance, it is often recommended that we conceive of polycentric governance under the model of a complex adaptive system. So just to give you an example of what that means, when you think of the ability to adapt, a polycentric governance, because it has different centers of governance, multiple centers of governance, it's more able to respond to change. So if you have a distributed set of decision centers and one of them detects change in the environment that requires a response, that center can bring that change into the scope of consideration within polycentric governance. So a polycentric governance has multiple eyes on reality. That's what I mean. If 2 or 3 eyes do not see change, 1 or 2 other eyes might see it, right? So in a sense, the more centers of activity you have, the more eyes you have on the world and changes in the world. So that's as much as I wanted to say at this moment. I'm going through the papers, and I'm not going to make any comments about them yet, other than to say this: beware of small words. And I'll bring this up later, so do not worry about it. But the English language has the word it. It's a small word. But as a small word, it causes huge confusions. So when I do the reflection on the grading, I'll talk to you about that. I want you to understand why I've graded you in the way I have. So that is related to a degree to how you write and how you use the English language to express your thoughts. So I will be speaking to that. The last point I wanted to make on administration is about the assignments. As I said, I'm going through them. I find them very interesting. I'm excited about them, and I'm working through them. So I hope to have them done by Friday, back to you. So that's where I am. That's enough for now. Take care and hang in there. Bye.